Let's see. Let me see. Okay, that's that. Let's see if we're on. We are good to go, although it did not, man. All right, well, we are on. This is the Dave and Dave show, but it doesn't even say it. Let me open this up, Pop, and here it's going to be a little feedback. Hold on. All right, well, we are. All right, good. We're good. Okay, we got a delay, but we're good to go. As usual. So first of all, this is the Dave and Dave show, even though it doesn't say it on Facebook, but this is episode 87. And as usual, my father does not know what we're talking about before we start, which he always likes like that, but he's not going to like one of the topics. And it's just a conversation. But here's episode 87, 1987. I was almost 10. You were 35.
25, yeah, 25.
35. You didn't have me when you were 15. All right, so we got a couple things to talk about today. Man, it's going to drive me insane, Pops, that it did not come out right on my Facebook. It's annoying the hell out of me. But here are the 4 things. The theme today is before change can happen, you must be able to see things as they truly are. That's conversation number 1. Leading into, should Las Vegas secede from the state, local, and national associations? We can pretend we're in a presidential debate. And, oh, look what's behind me. Should I offer $1,000? Should I offer $1,000 on who could tell me who put this 4 years, was it 5 years ago? 4 years ago? $1,000 for information on who if you know for sure who distributed these.
Verified, yeah.
Verified, $1,000. This is a little separate conversation for another day, but will be framed in my office as a reminder that you're not winning until people are hating. Okay, so that was number 1. Before change can happen, you must be able to see things as they truly are. 2, should Las Vegas secede from the state, local, national associations? This is just a conversation for debate. You don't have to, get your panties in a bunch, Pops. And then open houses, tenant occupied, changes from the governor, and then a market update. So we got a lot to cover. Okay?
Hey.
All right, let's just jump right into, we talk about topics, right? We talk about what's going on in the world. And I don't want to get too political, but I want to use last night as a metaphor. Last night, meaning it was the presidential debate, which was basically
unpresidential.
It devolved into yes, it got nothing solved, right? But I think there's a bigger conversation that is a metaphor for life. One of the things that frustrate me is how, on both sides, how like the right likes to cloak themselves sometimes in this blind patriotism, and how the left tries to say that we're the worst country in the world. And this is, I think, is metaphorical of, or is a microcosm of what we're dealing with as a society. This polarization of we are perfect, wrap myself in the American flag, versus we are the worst country in the world and I hate America. They're both wrong in my mind. Just like everything in the world, there's some middle. And it made me think of, and I want you to stay with me on this, Pops. If I was America as a person, if America was a person and they had to do some soul searching, right? I think a person, you or I, would be like, I love myself. I want to see the best happen for Dave Tina. Would you agree? Right?
Yeah.
Now picture you're like a walking stars and stripes, right? And then, and obviously you're going to be the one that's rooting the most for yourself. Obviously, you're going to be blind to some of the issues in your own life, right? But until you can make changes with yourself, you got to have that conversation of who am I truly, right? So if America is this happy-go-lucky, things are going great, where they're one of the best people you know, but yet they have underlying issues that maybe they're going to be becoming a diabetic. Maybe they're having some mental health issues where they got to go see just a therapist. Maybe, maybe there's time to have an honest conversation where you can improve. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that's not happening, but it makes sense. If we could look at it clearly and non-prejudicial and we could help both people and where we're going, but we're not at that point anymore.
And that's where, like, I believe I got this from you, because you very early on, when I said, Daddy, this isn't fair. Now I'm saying to you this as like a 5-year-old boy, right?
6, I think it was.
Oh, of course, you got to be a pain in the ass. So whatever. And what did you say? And people think this is harsh, but what did you say?
I said, who said life is fair? You're going to go through life seeing fair things and unfair things that are going to happen to you.
That's probably the nicest way you've said it to me in my 42 years.
I'm
It
on
was more of
screen.
like, it was life isn't fair, Dave. You're going to have to get used to it. Like, that's the conversation. And the reality of that is you were setting me up for things that the truth.
The
You
truth.
remember Charlie, your good friend, my good friend, said to me one time, he goes, your dad made you grow up very quickly, obviously because of the circumstances and whatnot, with you and my mother getting divorced early and whatnot. But I think the quicker you pull the shield away, or you pull the curtain away and you say, this is the way it is better. Angie and I get in these debates all the time on how honest we should be with the kids about things like, they're in the other room, so I'm not going to be too loud, but things about, Christmas,
Saint Nicholas.
how you make babies and things like that, right? So, and I say, like, I agree, like, I want to let them keep their innocence, but at the same time, I don't want them to be the 15-year-old who has their heads in the cloud, right? So where am I getting with this? Where I'm getting with this is you can't have an honest conversation unless you start with the truth. And where's the metaphor in this? The metaphor in this is where we're going to segue right into real estate. You've got to be willing to have an honest conversation of where things are broken in order for them to get better. It has to happen in this country, and it has to happen in our industry. It has to happen inside of your own life. But you can't focus on where you want to go unless you have a really clear, honest picture of where you're at. So back to my 2 examples. Listen, you can have the Stockdale paradox. It could be the best country in the world, and at the same time have massive issues that it has to fix. That's the conversation that can happen. Real estate, segueing in, the association platform, which people don't understand how it works, it's very similar to government, right? We have the National Association of Realtors, the State Association of Realtors, and the Local Association of Realtors. Very similar to the government structure. I would be surprised if it wasn't based off of government, the structure, right? You have the president of national, the president of state, the president of local. So the conversation has been, what's the benefit of being in any of them?
And that's an interesting conversation, because if we start in Las Vegas and LVR, you're required to be in NVR, If you're an NVR, you're required to be an NAR. So to be licensed in our city on a multiple listing platform of LBR, you must be the members of either the other two associations.
Well, here is the $1 million question. Okay.
Mhm.
If the MLS wasn't tied to the local, which makes you tied to all of them, would people voluntarily be a realtor?
And here is my answer. Some people, it's all about dollars. It's all about the bottom line that comes out of their pocket. And the answer is no. But remember one thing, Dave, and I'm going to pay the other advocate.
I want you to.
When there's an ethical issue, when there's what we feel an illegal issue, we always go back to NAR Code of Ethics. We go back to state law and state rule. So on the positive end, at least we have a process that leads us to justify some bad behavior and punish them for it.
So when I represented the association as president, I had this catch-22, I always felt half of a fraud defending the association because I felt like it didn't deliver what the ideal is and should be. And I think that's the issue we have with government in general right now, right? It's only as good as the people that are in it. And I'm not saying they're bad people, because they're not. I just think the priority sometimes, or you said money is too much of a priority. I'm going to also say significance and the old way of doing things is a priority. And here's what I'm going to put out there. The MLS is to me, the number one reason, it's not even to me, it's the number one reason why people are part of all the associations. And I could argue with the ethics, and you could say the code of ethics. The code of ethics are great. They're awesome if they're implemented. And you can't tell me with a straight face that the code of ethics are the North Star and at the same time be willing to hire and make it easy and make it about just as many members as possible. They don't work hand in hand. You can't have this high of a bar, but yet have this bar of membership. Ethics is up here, but membership is down here. Not congruent at all. And I think it could be fixed, Dad. I really do.
So do I, but one of the reasons that the North Star is here is because our North Star, and I hate to do it again because I sound like a broken record, is success. If you do 100 deals in this city, their name is coming off your lips. But they don't care how that agent does that 100 deals. They don't care if they're ethical, if they don't care. It's all about the numbers, and they go, wow, look at blah, blah, blah. And they can be unethical as could be, and no one really cares, except for us and a few other companies that do care.
I think people have justifications, but you're right. The problem is that unfortunately, with a lot of people, and this is the problem with society, the means justify the ends for most people. Excuse me. Yes, that's exactly what I meant. Whereas it should be, no, it's the ends justify the means. That's how they're treating it. Whereas the means should be how you get there should matter. And so this is where I'm going to throw something out there that is probably going to be a little bit controversial.
No.
I've been listening to, let's say, people I don't necessarily agree with on everything, right? And I have very different views on a lot of topics. Other brokers, other owners that have a following and do shows and whatever. And I may not agree with their models. It may not be for me. I may not agree with their ethics. I may not agree just the way they go about things, but I agree with this. if we don't have a national MLS, we're done. Done. And yet, I don't know what we have to do to shake up the national people. I thought about this. I'm thinking about writing a white paper and sending it to Kenny and Leslie and whatever. But even then, even though I would have the access because I've been involved and you're involved, I know it's going to fall upon deaf ears. And I know I'm going to hear the same excuses I've heard for the last 5 years. That no, we don't need that. And this is where bureaucracy and the way things have always been done are killing us. Because the local MLSs want control, and they're so afraid of losing it that they won't give it up to the national. And that's what got us here where we are right now. Okay. And, you know, someone made a good point, and he said that we don't have the same access to the MLSs as these big companies, because they have companies everywhere or throughout the country, right? So they have access to the MLS and whatnot. But how are we going to compete with all of these big sites that are national if we only have Las Vegas? So even if we figure out Las Vegas and people can come search on Las Vegas, they're not going to stay there. They're going to jump to Zillow or Redfin or Realtor.com, and they're going to search San Francisco, then Las Vegas, right? You with me?
I am, but I disagree with you, but
You're
I'm with.
not. They're going to stay in one thing. They're going to stay in one place.
No,
You're
I
gonna lose
agree,
the
but you said we don't have access with our membership to NAR, RPR, which is now 100% all brokerages across the United States are in, gives you, if you go on it now, you get full access.
Well, then
of,
RPR needs to be front facing then.
right, well, it's for us, but you
So
and you.
this is my thing. No one's going to have the balls to do it, but I'll call everyone and say someone needs to say to NAR, and this is how much bullshit it is, because just me saying this makes NAR potentially mad at me and give me the stink eye, right? But the state and local should say to NAR, you either do a front facing MLS or Vegas and Nevada is out. We're out. We're no longer realtors. We don't care. And then maybe California goes, we're out too.
No, I don't think that's happening.
We're going to create our own. What's to stop us from calling all the other brokers and being like, hey, let's create our own MLS? Nothing. And I don't think it needs to get to that, but someone needs to shake the hell out of someone up there before it's too late. And then
Well,
the state,
send white papers, see how they responded. It's a new group. It's
one-
not the same as it was 2 years ago. It's a new, very forward-thinking group.
one owner from Las Vegas with 455 agents, you need to have more power, because here's where I'm at. I rather call myself a consultant of real estate services, because being a realtor is not special. It's not. Anyone could be a realtor. Not everyone could be a consultant. And you know what? Yes. Professional standards and the code of ethics and arbitration and mediation used to be awesome. But if the people on professional standards don't know real estate, you could have the best attorney in the world, and policing yourself is going to be disastrous. So you're going to have to pay the money anyhow. So forget about professional standards. Education, good luck. Half the educators don't know how to do a transaction themselves. Right?
Mhm.
This is the inconvenient truth. This is the reality, right? And what I'm saying is we've gone a year without any association work, and we're fine. We're totally fine. So I think it's time to shake it up. And it's not like everything's not in place. And don't give me, you're ignoring me because you don't want to deal with it. But what's the point? I mean, what's the point of being a regional vice president if you're not going to do anything? And not you, but what I'm saying is, what's the point? I mean, what if it falls on deaf ears? Like, God forbid you speak your mind in that echo chamber. You don't get the appointments, you know, that's why I removed myself, because I'm nobody's bitch.
I
I'm
get,
gonna say what I want.
I say what I want because I'm at the point where what I want, it doesn't matter at this point. I don't need anything, so I tend to say what I want. But I don't know, right now you're gonna get into that and that's your opinion. And the great part of you and me is we can agree to disagree. So
I-
that's the
Everybody,
great.
it, it's just we're letting it, listen, I don't mind competition, and I've said it a million times. I love the fact that Zillow is gonna now be licensed, because congratulations, now you can get ethics complaints. Now you can try to run a real brokerage. Now you will have to actually
Great point.
you'll have to prove yourself one transaction at a time. Come on in, baby. Let's see you do it the hard way rather than just, you know, do advertising and whatnot.
Great
Good luck
point.
hiring agents on a salary. Let's see what kind of quality of an agent you can get. Good luck. Good luck to all of you. Come on in. I love the fact that the association is not going to control the conversation about the feed, because Zillow is going to get the feed as a broker, as same as Redfin does. Well, guess what? Beautiful. So when agents cry and go crazy about this and go, why is the association giving the feed? No, Zillow's a broker. They get a feed like everybody else. Beautiful. You know, God forbid, when I was past president, I said, let the brokerages get the feed so that the association didn't get hammered, because everyone pointed to the association. We took it as owners because Zillow was so mad at us, right? But
Let's
now,
talk
good
about
luck.
that.
Good luck. Do whatever you want. And I'm not even going to be a hypocrite here. We have tons of agents that use Zillow. My own wife, premier agent, makes sure that her name is prominently displayed, because that's the game. And there's no alternative. And when there's no alternative, good luck. And I learned that the hard way. There's no alternative. So either create an alternative or shut up. And all the NAR, all the state, all the local, are they gonna want real change, or are they just gonna take their free trips, their free dinners, and their free positions and mail it in?
It may be a slower moving organization, NAR, but it does change. We did the thing about the rule that you can't put your house, if it's gonna be available, it has to be available to all. There's things that happen, maybe not at your pace, but there's good things that
My
happen.
pace, you can't go slower. You can't go slower. So
The big wheels take longer to turn.
it's the reality is, it is a membership obtaining association, and that's all it is. And I love the people on there. I love them. But man, is someone going to step up and say it's already too late? How you got $150 million of dues, right? Something insane. What's the budget of the NAR?
I don't know,
How much do we pay?
$100,
$200
$100, I don't know.
times 1.5 million. $300 million. Listen, I know you're looking down and you don't want to deal with this, but I started it with, you must be able to see things as they truly are and not ignore it. And you can ignore it all you want, because here's the other option, Pops. Listen, we tell our agents all the time, and rightfully so, stay in your lane, worry about your own 10 to 40 deals, and just crush it. Work your sphere, control what you can control, right?
Yeah.
Right? Same thing with us as a broker. But eventually we're going to be affected by this. It's just the reality of it. So we could just sit here and be like, okay, thank you, sir. May I have another? Or we could talk about this. I mean, what do you think? I mean, I know you're going to be, this it may be not something you're going to have to deal with, but I'm going to have to deal with this.
You
So
will.
what?
You probably will.
I know.
I'll be dead and gone.
I- You can't put your head
You
under
know,
the sand.
I've been here 43 years doing real estate. And for 43 years, a lot of people say, we're going to have drastic change and this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And I haven't seen drastic change other than, the marketing and how we do it. But the process of showing and selling houses is the same. And how you get there, or how you get the buyer or the seller, and how you market or how you do it with the computer is different, but the process is the same. So my answer is, you're right, that people have to wake up, they have to get more contemporary, they have to figure out what's going on, they have to figure out the problems of the realtor. What's your answer?
My answer is like, I good luck to me, because I can't even get you to get passionate about it, because you have a conversation of, well, it's always been like this and we'll be fine. And say that to the restaurants that have to give a huge portion of their money to DoorDash, because DoorDash controls more eyes now than the restaurant's marketing. It's changed the restaurant industry completely. It's changed the taxis completely. Like, if you don't understand Moore's law, where everything is gonna double every 18 months, then you're done. And like, yeah, fine, then let's just ride it out for 5 years. So like, that's not the answer. The answer is something could be done. If the taxis got together and said, we're going to come together and have an Uber-like app that's directly for the taxis, they could at least compete.
I agree.
Not by just saying, well, we're still going to, I know they're doing it, but they're not structured. We already have 1.5 million realtors under one roof. Do you know how easy it would be to create a front-facing website and have every association plug in? Now, it'd be easy to actually do, but it's difficult to convince every single MLS to play a part, because everybody wants control.
Right.
All
And
the
a lot
MLS
of the brokers don't want that, because they're saying now they're getting into their business and how they create it and how they do it. And they don't want the associations to be involved in that.
I disagree. I think the brokers more than ever want this.
Well,
More than ever. I think they fought it. I fought a national MLS forever. And I think hindsight's 2020. And here we are. If I'm president of the association, National Association, I have it's three, right, things that are my goal. One, national MLS. Two, try to get realtors down to 400,000 for the entire country. And three, make it devastatingly difficult to become a realtor. Only way you succeed.
okay.
Or at least have an accountability measure. I mean, look at your face. Like, you you're uncomfortable talking about it, and B, you don't want to deal with it. I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay. I mean, when everyone comes to me, because here's the truth. All the brokerages, good luck. So you agents out there, this is why you should care. Let's just go. Why am I even talking about it like this? I'm gonna talk like this. This is why you should care, agents. You're either going to be part of the maybe 5%, probably 3% that will be considered a consultant and an expert, and you'll be able to get what you're worth. Everybody else, you're going to be working for Zillow, Redfin, Open Door at probably $15 to $20 an hour. Good luck. That's how it's going to be. Brokers out there, you're going to, whatever broker count you have now, divide it by 3, maybe less. You're going to have, so running a brokerage is going to be a lot more difficult, because you're not going to be able to just take on everyone who has a heartbeat. Good luck to you brokerages as well. So now do I have your attention? Because that's the truth. You're out of business. You're out of business. You got to fight for your job back. You don't like it? Too bad. Don't care. So I don't think we should secede, but I think we should threaten. I think we should remind them that at any time, multiple states could pull out, and we're demanding change. Demanding change. I was a what?
I said, I don't see that passion in the group that is there. So unless you have a group or create a group that has that passion, that's not going to happen.
Which is a shame in itself, because I got a company to run, right? And we do it here first. But the reality is we should elect these people that are committed to this. I've been in all of these rooms. He's still in the room, so he won't say it. I've been in all these rooms. God forbid you have an original out of the box idea. And if you do, by the time they filter it and just kill it, it comes out with like a good, because that's they kill it. Because there's no change.
Okay. All righty. Aren't we on other subjects? We did this for 40 minutes.
Open houses, tenant occupied changes from the governor. You're involved in all this. We've been doing such a great job of explaining what we need to do to the government. So that's working so well. So we've had no open houses. Go for it.
So there was a lot of misconception of what an open house is to the governor's group. And now they understand. Carrera, Nevada has been there working. The state locals have all been there. And as of October 1st, we are allowed to have open houses. There's going to be restrictions, and you'll get an email from NVR telling you what those restrictions are. And basically, they're just COVID safety restrictions. And as of October 1st, open houses will be allowed again. It took a while for them to understand that it's not the same as going into a casino and what it is. And it's basically going to say one group with the realtor could go in at a time, wearing a mask, having the PPE, and then the other group has to wait outside, and so on and so on and so on. So a celebration, which happened through NVR, LVR, and Carrera, has created a success to explain to the governor what it is and why it should be back. So we could look at the past and complain, or we could look that we finally got it. California does not. So
that has nothing to do with the lobbyists or anybody in the association, because he's opening up everything.
Well, so no, he isn't. No, the lobbyists.
Schools may open up at 50% capacity.
Yes, but the lobbyists got to explain to him what an open house was and how it works. He thought an open house, that team thought an open house was 50 people could come in and look at the house at once. So we had to explain how it works, explain how it goes.
How come you weren't able to explain it for the last 6 months?
Because for the last 6 months, they were so worried about getting the numbers down. They looped us, which we were essential. In the first day, we weren't. The second day, we weren't. Our lobbyists got us, put us as essential, and got us showing. So give credit where credit is due. Next, there's going to be also on his directive. Yesterday, he said the showings of tenant occupied are changing. That's all he said. So we don't know if he means the showings of open houses or no, not yet. We're getting the directive. He hasn't sent it. Today, they worked on the directive of groups of 250 and more. They had to do all that. So the governor's committee that's doing that did all more the church, casino, that stuff. this afternoon, the directive is gonna, the copy of the directive, and the 3 attorneys at NVR will write it. And then you'll get an email saying explicitly how it's gonna work. Tomorrow is the day we could start doing open houses. He did say something, but not clearly about tenant occupied. Either that we're gonna be allowed to have open houses in tenant occupied, or we're gonna be able to show tenant occupied. So follow that. We should see it all tomorrow in an email by NVR.
And here's the cold reality. Majority, well, not majority, probably 30 to 50% of people never stop doing open houses. They just do whatever the hell they want. Coming soons off the MLS are not allowed. People are still doing it, whether they're ignoring it because they don't care, or they're just ignorant to it because they don't get the messaging from the association. People are not supposed to market houses before they go on. It's still happening. People weren't supposed to have open houses. It's still happening. So what I'm saying is that the institution is only as good as what it implements and messages.
I know another real estate company that just got fined $10,000 not following it. They were saying that Dragon Ridge Country Club got a $2,500 fine yesterday for not following. So I haven't seen an open house sign in the last 2 months. In the beginning, I did see companies doing it, knowing it was illegal, and they were shut down to the point that LVR took off the open house button on their feed so the agent couldn't load an open house on the computer.
And you want to know why LVR and the MLS took it off? Because you and I actually figured it out. Why is it even allowed? And the MLS chairman just happens to be Georgia, who's a broker at our company. No one had even figured that out in 4 months.
But
So,
we did.
but we
So
did.
And they complied.
But again, is the cart leading the horse or is the horse leading the cart?
And I don't really care until as long as we get to the destination.
And there I go. So you're saying the ends justify the means, and I disagree.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I disagree. They don't, because the means are, there should be, like we talked about, I'm not going to bring up again, the board of directors need to be so and so, and the people that work there or whatever, you know. Listen, Nobu, if he's watching, which I don't know, is now the MLS director in Denver. Nobu is one of the reasons why I got through a couple of years of being a director and a president and all that, because you listen to enough people speak and you just want to turn your brain off. But Nobu was someone who was like, wow, this guy gets it and he's awesome. And he was an NAR guy. And Nobu said the famous quote, every time someone says this is the way we've always done it, a baby puppy dies.
A puppy dies.
It makes it more powerful when you say a baby puppy, like even though it's a puppy, and that's the truth, because that kind of thinking is not going to get where we need to go.
I don't think we think that way in our business.
The battles you and I have had to have,
That's called
literally.
That's
What?
called debates. You rack out every point.
No,
Did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed today?
no, not at all. Like, I just don't want to sit here and, listen, we could talk about the same stuff every single week, or we can have some real conversations that are uncomfortable. I could sit here again and give you the 5 reasons or the 5 things you need to do to future-proof your business, right? To make sure you win. And that's great. And that'll work. That's going to work. But man, it'd be great. Like, for instance, regardless of who wins the presidency, Dad, I'm going to work my ass off and make money, right?
Very true.
No matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to live my life. But eventually, if the government or one side wins versus the other, regardless of which side wins, they're going to change some rules that are going to affect me. Some of them are going to make it harder. Some of them are going to make it easier. And I'm going, here I am saying, the people we pay dues to that I've got to see behind the curtain, they can make changes that help us. They can, rather than be lagging, they could be leading. And I just want to shake the shit out of people and say, wake up. Wake up. And I'm not mad, I'm passionate, because I'm not sitting here going, NAR sucks, while some people have the NAR flag around them going, we're perfect, right? I set the frame with America to begin this conversation. The frame is, you must be willing to see things as they are, and at the same time go, this could work. Without NAR, without all the state associations, without the local associations, this is where I agree with you. If we got rid of it all, we'd have to make it again. Pretty much the same way it's made. We agree 100%. I don't think the structure of NAR is wrong. I don't think the structure of America is wrong. I love both. They're both needed. And if there was a coup on America and you wanted to create another democracy, you would just start over and create it the same way. I really believe that. Same thing with NAR. Everything's there that's needed, but somebody's got to be like, yo, it's time to fix this. We got a problem, Houston. And I don't think anyone wants to address that. No one wants to be the president at NAR or the group that says, you know what, we're going to go for it and we're going to make a change. No one wants to truly lead and take real risk for change.
That's probably true. I could agree with you there.
And then what's the point? What's the point?
You do as much as you can and get as much done as you can.
All right, so let's continue to the last thing. So we kind of know about open houses. We kind of know about tenant occupied.
Well, you do know that you could do, if you have a vacant home or an owner occupied, you do know you could do open houses this week. It's more going to be PPE and COVID instructions. So to anyone that's listening out there that's an agent, grab your signs, dust them off, and let's go.
And I'm not waiting for the governor to give us the directives. Let's talk about common sense. Do an open house, make sure people aren't in there at the same time, make them wait outside, get the stuff ready, err on the side of caution, do your open houses, but don't do anything stupid that's going to make us not have open houses anymore. Even if they does change the tenant occupied, make sure the tenant's cool with it, make sure everything, dot your I's and cross your T's. That's how you cover your butt. Because whatever comes out is going to be some bastardized version of what it should be. Because it's going to get filtered and filtered.
Actually, you're spot on. The directive is very similar to what you're saying. So, you know, have the brains not to let 5 families in at once. Let one, lock the door, tell them you're next, control it, make sure everyone has a mask, make sure you have the antibacterial gel. Don't touch anything, guide them through, get them out, and do the next group. That's basically going to be it.
And have the conversations. Have the conversation with the owner of the house, which you're already having already, right? Normal listings and normal showings have been happening this entire time. So there's got to be, this is what we told our urban nest agents from day one. You got to have a level of comfort with all parties. Got to set the precedent. You got to earn the side of caution. You got to be like, seller requires masks the entire time.
Boom. Now, what we don't know on the rent occupied, is this directive going to let us show rental occupied homes and how? But that's coming out too, because the directive right now says we cannot show. So that's coming out. Remember, the governor had the eviction stopping October 15th, and then the government, the president and CDC, gave it till December 31st. So there may be now a process to let you show these tenant occupied homes, which in turn will increase inventory, because we give inventory numbers every week, but there may be 500 or 600 that we can't enter. So that directive should be down. As soon as the state gets it, they're writing it. The attorneys are going to write their letter, and that letter from NBR will go out to every agent explaining it. What does that mean to me as the broker or one of the brokers? More business, more houses selling, more opportunity to get some great buyers.
Empathy, intelligence, do the right thing the whole way, right? So take care of the tenant. Like, for instance, little known fact, doesn't mean your tenant can stay forever. If the lease is up and you've given them the notice, they can get out. That's not kicking them out. The lease is up. Totally fine. All right? If your lease is up, yeah, it is. If your lease is up September 30th, if you have a year lease and your lease is up September 30th, you can give them 30-day notice. That is not an eviction. We've had this argument already.
You can give them 30-day notice, but if they say something like, we're in a fear of COVID and we've been exposed, you can't evict.
It's not an eviction.
Or you can't make them leave. Now, if there's non-payment of rent.
We've had this debate already, and remember, we asked Tom, we asked Teresa, and I.
Yeah, they say you could ask, yes, you're right. The law says they have to leave. But then you go to the COVID end of it where they could fight you till you're blue in the face.
You gotta, I don't believe it's kicking people out. I mean, it's just like, do I want to extend them or do I not, right?
Oh, I agree, but in the interim with the COVID protection laws, if they're gonna fight you on it, it becomes a slippery slope. Now, if
they don't have to pay you on the way out. They don't have to pay you on the way out.
If they're destroying the property, if they have non-payment of rent, if they have 66 people in there and it says one, all those things have broken the lease and you could evict. You could actually evict right now on those things.
And listen, people could strategically not pay their rent and they're still within their lease. And unfortunately, there's no repercussions. That's the downside. The upside is people are having a hard time. They haven't gotten back to work and they're in a tough position. That's the upside. I mean, you could argue this any which way, and I agree with.
Well, because of course, some people are taking advantage, not paying their lease, partying, going out, going on trips and saying, I'm never going to pay the lease. But there's also people like you say that lost their job, that never have received their unemployment yet because our unemployment. And, you know, a lot of people like to trash, but you have to read your news throughout the United States. So let's take our unemployment. Let's say it was meant to handle 5% of the population. And now it's got 30% of the population. Of course, they're not capable. Now, does that make me empathize or sympathize with them? No, but it makes me understand it's not a Vegas problem. It's a United States problem.
There's also an unemployment fraud problem where at least 20 of our agents, including myself, have supposedly tried to get unemployment, which none of us have. So people are taking advantage, which is preventing people who really need unemployment of getting unemployment, right?
And so then what they did for our agents that went on it, they now asked you for your birth certificate or social security card. If you didn't have them readily available, which when you get old, you sort of don't, you couldn't get it and you have to wait till you give it. So there are factors that are changing, some of them true, some of them taking advantage.
But the reality is this: if you're up on your lease and let's say October 30th, October 31st, right?
Yeah.
And your tenant has not paid you in 4 months, okay?
Yeah.
On October 31st, with the notice, your lease is up, they can go and you don't get paid your 4 months. That's the catch both ways, right? And that's okay. And I'm not saying this right, because again, the thing of government, the thing of life, there's both two sides, and I see both of them. Because it's unfair to the tenant that they don't have unemployment and they're not getting help by the government. It's unfair to the owner that can't pay their mortgage because they're not getting paid by the tenant. It's unfair to the mortgage holder that's not gotten paid from the owner because they're not getting paid from the tenant, right? Or the investor of the mortgage who now is not getting paid from the mortgage company
And,
because of the way.
and January 1st, we're gonna see all that play out. Because that's
Right,
when
so-
everything expires.
So open houses, just be intelligent, tenant occupied, we're gonna get more information, but from what we understand, it's gonna be changed. It's gonna be really interesting to see if they open up Clark County schools. You know, personally, I wanna see what October and November do, because that's when we all go inside and let's see what happens. And if it's good, I think I'm comfortable sending my kids back to school in
Well-
the second semester.
I was just gonna say, my belief in raising you is that I wouldn't believe in doing it in the middle. We already have it where it is, semester ends, January begins a new semester, am I right? January. So by January, we're gonna have a better grip. We're gonna be really close to vaccines if they wanna give them. And then I believe it's choice. You wanna send your kid to school, send your kids to school. I don't think they should get rid of the learning, the at-home learning until we have a system that we could guarantee our children don't get it.
And someone who has, like, Angie's gonna have our third daughter any day now, anywhere between now and the 8th or 9th. And, you know, everyone has a different situation. So it'd be perfect timing for me, which we always thought, the baby, and then you're talking about a 1 or 2 month old infant, and we get a better idea, right? Sending our kids to school, they're bringing back whatever's there, whatever the deal is, right? So I think so let's just segue the last thing. I know we're going actually we started late, so let's go a little bit more. Everything we talked about, how's it gonna affect the market?
The market, to me, with these low interest rates, are so busy that I think our market is going to be strong. And when people ask me, how could the Vegas market be strong when you have the highest unemployment in the United States? Then thinking through our country, that's true. We have the highest unemployment in the United States. And I tell them, hello, California, because as Dave and I and Georgia and Jen speak to our agents, where'd your buyer come from? California, California. Then there's move up, move down. Move up, move down has to do with COVID too now, because people say, I always wanted a pool. If I'm going to be home, I want a pool house. I always wanted a gym. I always wanted a library. I always want these things that now your home is becoming what the home was when I was a child. We spent majority of our time at home is now becoming a focal point for the families. So that is creating move up, move down, move out, all that. So between those two influences, I see only a very, very strong market for Vegas.
And that's the truth, because, like, I'm having a discussion and continually with Ange about, do we buy a second home like a lot of people are doing, right? Or do we put a casita in the back so that I could do what I'm doing right now with you in the casita, right? And then, you know, we have the cleaning lady, or if we have something going on at the house, we have a whole nother room outside, right?
Separate.
So, which would for me be something like what's behind me, with a Peloton and a treadmill. It would be like one of those gym / office type situations where, and that's the conversation. Now, I did read something interesting today that refis are down. The amount of people who are asking for refis or applications. There's a lot of potential reasons for that. One may be the lenders are actually limiting the amount of refis they're doing because they've been so inundated. Or maybe we're just seeing threshold being hit where so many people have refied, where the amount of people who are going to refi is going to inevitably just go down, because how many people can have a great rate?
And maybe some of them now are figuring, okay, the government has said that this interest rate is going to stay for a while, that they're saying, why refi if we're going to move up or down, right? They're looking at new communities, many, like 5 or 6 of our agents didn't refi. They're building homes. They're having homes built and moving in and getting rates of 2.5. You know, like the other agent said that's building the house in Sparata. 2.5. Oh my God.
I
Yeah.
definitely feel more, what's the word I'm looking for? Bullish about what is going to come. You know, I know that the president or the government, they don't control the Federal Reserve, right? The bank. You know, he came out and said that the rates are going to stay between 0.25, which obviously those aren't the rates. That's the lending. That's how much you borrow at for the next till 2023. So in effect, about 3 years. Maybe if they stop first quarter of 2023, you're still talking 2.5 years, right?
Right.
That's going to basically say that we're at anywhere from 2.5 to 3% for the next 2-3 years, which means I believe we're going to be creating this inflection point or this crescendo, if you will, of growth. I think we're going to see more speculators. I think we're going to see, we have not touched the growth of the 2004, 5, and 6, where we saw 20% a year, and people started seeing that greed and say, well, if we're joining, you start seeing 20% growth. Even now, I think people are doing well, if I buy new, by the time it's done, I'll have made 10%, right? Because houses are taking a year. I'm going to buy 4 of them. If people start doing that, there's going to be opportunity for growth. The problem is, this is like the movie. You're driving and the cliff is in front of you and you have your door open and you're driving at 90 miles an hour and you have to see how much runway I have before I jump out of my car and let that car go off the cliff. Because what'll happen then, whether it's in 2021, 22, 23, or past that, is eventually we're going to hit such a fever pitch, it's going to go.
Gotta go down. 07.
It's going to happen. Now, what we don't know is, I haven't seen them loosen up the lending requirements. So good luck getting the money to over leverage yourself. It's going to be tough to over leverage yourself. But who knows, if the market starts getting tight and the rates aren't doing it, you got to keep your eyes open for the government relaxing the CFPB and saying you can get a loan if you have a heartbeat. You start seeing that.
That isn't happening.
It may. We don't know.
Well, no, I'm just saying since 07, it's never happened again, thank God.
And so do I think there's a lot of runway left? You bet. I think there's runway. So I think there's opportunity to still make money. And even if you do fall off the cliff, rents are still going to be high. So you can rent it and make money. You can cash flow. And you're going to be in at 2.5% or 2.75 or even 3 on a rental. There's a lot of opportunity there. But the 4 things are going to get in our way: land, labor, lumber, and laws, legislation, and then maybe a 5th one, production, which I guess would go under labor. We can't even get refrigerators in these houses.
I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe the appliance thing at all. But I do, because when my car lease, I'm getting emails and they're saying, order the car now. So I went in to get some work on the car done. And I said, why are you telling me to get a new lease and order it now? And they said the plant was shut down for 3 months. So the production of the car, if you want to order a specific car, is back 3 months. So I think that's what happened with the appliances too, is that they're backlogged, which a funny story is the builders are moving appliances and putting them in other houses so you could close your house. So maybe the value of appliances is going to go up.
They're giving you these like stand-ins. Like if you buy a built-in, they're giving you like a little shitty one. And then 2 months later, you get the real one. It's interesting. And then some builders, I mean, a Toll Brothers house, a 2-story. One of the agents was telling me the other day, I think it was Christina Hazard, was saying that it's 18 to 24 months out on a 2-story toll. And on a 1-story, it's a year. That's crazy.
The only good news to that is at least you're guaranteeing the price that they set now, and the interest rates aren't going to go drastically up. So that's the good.
You bank on that though. You're in pretty good shape that it's not going to go up because you can't lock a year in advance.
Right.
And yeah, you got to hope it doesn't go down because then toll already has a ton of your money. Good luck renegotiating that deal. So a lot of interesting things on that. But personally, I'm in buy mode for sure. And I don't think we're gonna. And then lastly, listen, guys, the opportunity to buy and fix up has never been better. And I think you need to take that opportunity. I mean, given the sellers may think their houses are gold, even though they're not, but there's opportunity to buy and fix up. If you have to wait 24 months for your Toll Brothers house, and there's a gorgeous community with a house that hasn't been upgraded since 2002, there is some meat on that bone to buy it. I'll give a shout out to my buddy Ryan, who owns Western Elite. Put the Western Elite, dumpster in front of the house and gut it. You know what I mean? But even then, good luck getting a contractor right now as well. So a lot of positives on that.
And like Red Rock, where I live, there's 25 houses on the market, which is the lowest it's been in months, and 20 in escrow. So if you're one of those 25 houses on the market and you're priced right, it's going to sell because there's not an inventory for you to say, oh, I'll take this one instead of that one.
We'll give you a little Urban Nest insight that we'll tell you what we tell our agents, what we told them yesterday. If you have a listing that is not beautiful and you're having problems selling it, you may want to try the auction approach where you list it low and you create excitement because there's an investor or 2 or 3 waiting for that house to go down. But yet there's also a buyer that's waiting for it to go down so they can get into that community. You'll go from crickets on this gently used older home to some real excitement with 3 or 4 buyers who now see it at this low value and now they want it and they'll start competing and they may bring it up. Not used enough because again, it's change and sellers get so stuck in I want to get what I want. But it's the oldest trick in the book. You gotta show some value. You want to get girls to look at you, just bring another girl with you into the bar and you're good to go.
Oh, here we go. We go.
You get your best friend that's a girl, a pretty girl, bring her in with you, and then all the girls start looking. That's the same thing with homes. You get it low, and then when someone calls you, be like, I got a buyer. This ain't gonna last. You're creating excitement. You're not manipulating. You're telling the truth. You can't say I have a buyer looking unless it's true, right? But then now you have the investor or 2 who's like, man, I'm gonna take a run at this. Then you have the buyer. Then boom, you get the offer. Instead of working your way down, you're working your way up. Everybody's happy. If you are the prettiest girl on the block already, and it's in a beautiful neighborhood and it's renovated, then you can list it high and wait for your comp breaking offer that may come. So little Urban Nest insight right there. Okay, Pops, listen, I love you.
Thank God.
No one challenges you. I'm going to break your balls and challenge you. You created me like this. Now
I did.
You have to deal with it.
I did. And I had to say that on National Sons Day that it was me that did it.
You got to be willing to have the hard conversations. And even at Urban Nest, you hit ceilings of where you are. And then you bring in someone, we brought in EOS to show you where your blind spots are and what you need to do to grow. And growth is not linear. Growth is difficult. But you got to be willing to have the tough conversations. And some more tough conversations need to be happening at the top, because at LVR, they're just arguing about who's going to be president and trying to, with the alliance. I mean, God, thankfully, congratulations, by the way, to Brandon Roberts. Congratulations to Yared Rivera. Congratulations to our very own Christina Chipman, most vote getter. She's continuing on the tradition of Dave Tina Sr. and Dave Tina Jr. with most votes. We are going to die undefeated, Pops, but Christina's helping us out. She's continuing on our undefeated. Congratulations on re-election to Stephanie and Randy, and congratulations to Shane on and congratulations to everyone who ran and had the cojones to step up and say, I am going to lead. Kudos to you as well. Pops, I love you. I'm going to challenge you always, no matter how much. At least you don't turn bright red, but you put your head down. This is what I get. This is what I get. And I know you're looking at your phone, and I know you're
No,
avoiding.
that's because if I was with you, I would have butt-headed you.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna let you just go, oh, and try to like do your thing where you kind of try to like ignore it and next.
Okay.
The Padawan is teaching the Jedi Master. No? All right, what's your takeaway? You want to say goodbye nicely?
I'm thrilled that open houses are opened. I thank LVR, NVR, and Carrera. And I'm glad that we have the opportunity, and I expect every agent out there to have a new passion, do them as great as possible and get some buyers and sell your listings and go on from there.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a little shitty like knock, because I just gave, and then you're gonna just go, oh, thank you for doing your job that you're paid to do, or whatever. I feel like I'm like on Bill Maher, like, and everyone's ignoring me.
You're Johnny Carson. I am
Ed
Ed.
McMahon, no, you're the dog doing the tricks. You look like you got a yellow tongue. Oh, it looks
It's
yellow.
my vitamins.
Your teeth look amazing though. They're
Thank you.
perfect. I love your teeth. I'm actually jealous. Look how, now I know, like, gross. All right, I'm gonna leave you with this. This is my number one coaching thing that I always like to tell people, and no one likes to hear, but it's the reality. You must know who you are before you figure out what you want. And that who you are conversation is what we talked about. You must see things as they are. Stop lying to yourself. Then and only then you can say, okay, this is who I am, for better or for worse. Here's the good, here's the bad, and this is how I want to change. But don't kid yourself and make all these goals and all these things without knowing where you're at, because it's going to be impossible to measure. And that's what the conversation is about today. In order to change, you must know who you are. So have that honest conversation, and then good things are going to happen. All right. Love you all. Love you more than anything, Pops.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye.